First things first, I'm gonna need a browser to work in. I generally have been using Firefox Dev Edition. You're more than welcome to use anything you want. It's completely up to you. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and launch a live server, the 5 server, because I want to be able to see the changes that I'm making. So make sure to grab that extension. If you don't know which one it is, it's 5 server, live server, 5 server. When you install it, it's a great way to essentially launch a server that's integrated within VS Code, so you don't have to worry about that, and then you can see your changes happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and go live, and in this case, in my case, it's automatically configured to open up a browser that I already have configured. In this case, it's Firefox Dev Edition. If in your case, it might open up your default browser. Not sure, whichever one it is, maybe Chrome, maybe whatever. If it doesn't open up anything, you can take a look here and see when it says 127.0.0.1 and then colon 500, 5500. This is where you want to essentially point your browser to if it doesn't open up anything. And to close it, you'll just click it again. But anyway, this is not what we want to do. So let's see, our tasks. Let's plan out the board. So what are we going to do? We need to somehow, we need to somehow render our board. So let's go into our index.html and take a look at what we have here. We have an A. I'm gonna take that away. I don't have an extra white screen, so we're gonna have to be switching back and forth. But somewhere here, I'm gonna do a table. And within that table, I want to maybe, render cells. How many cells we're gonna do? Probably six columns. 6 columns makes sense. And then what? 5 rows, because it's gonna go from 1 to 500, I think, right? So pretty standard. All right, so I'm gonna have some autocomplete on Copilot. I might use it more, I might use it less. Sometimes it fights me, sometimes it works well with me. I will see. So I'm gonna start with table with ID of, all right, Jeopardy. Nope. And then we're gonna want to have a header, which is gonna be our category. So let's say t-head, and then we're gonna have a table row, which is going to show our headers row. So I suppose we'll say ID, and it's gonna be, I don't know, Jeopardy head row. And I'm gonna make some mistakes. This is gonna, this is not something that's very well rehearsed. So we'll just go with the flow and with the mistakes as well. And hopefully we'll correct those mistakes. Table body. So Jeopardy body row. No. See, Copilot is trying to guess what I want, but there's going to be a lot of rows there. So it doesn't make sense for me to name it row. It's just going to be Jeopardy body, because there's going to be a lot of rows in here. And not body. Here's those mistakes again. Table body. There you go. Table body. Jeopardy body. Okay, that makes sense. Is it listening to me? That's creepy. No, it's not. I don't think it has that functionality just yet. And from there, our CS styles are empty. Oh, we're gonna be using a lot of Copilot on styles because ain't nobody got time to be fighting CSS. But for now, when I load, I want something to essentially, I want something to render. I want to render a table. So let's see what we can do in here. First, I'm gonna need some constants. I'm gonna need some constants to see how many columns we're going to have and how many rows we're going to have. So I guess column count. We don't want 6, we want 5. Const row count 5. All right, so that's fine for me. Then we're gonna have a cell state. Cell, not states, because it's not multiple states, it's gonna be cell state. For now, it's just gonna be null. No question or answer. Good guess. And what can we do next? Well, let's render some headers. Okay. So this is in a starter file. So we're gonna have a column count, fill, no category. So this kind of like a shortcut. Says either you're going to pass me titles, or I'm gonna make an array out of 5 elements, because column count is 5, and I'm gonna fill this with just no category, no category, no category. And well, that works for now, but of course we're gonna need to grab some things. So we're gonna need the game table, probably, what do we call it? The table ID, Jeopardy, so that's gonna be game table. Then we're gonna need the header row, and then we're gonna need the table body, where we're gonna throw some things in. So, all right, let's do that. And let's do that. Oh, and let's see. And why are you guessing the start button already? You don't have a button yet. You know what? For now, I'm going to turn you off, because this is where you're annoying me. So let's not do some suggestions. We'll come back to suggestions later. And game table is gonna be document.getElementById, and it's going to be well, Jeopardy, I think, right? And then const game head row is gonna be document dot get element by ID, and that's gonna be what? I think Jeopardy head row. All right, and then we want the body, so const game body is document dot get element by ID, and then what do we call the thing? Jeopardy body. That's, at least that's what I believe we called it. Let's come back. Yes, that's what we called it. So head row and body. All right. Okay. All right. So let's first build our headers, which is going to be like either the categories, right? So it's either going to be something like, you know, sports, history, something, or no category, because we haven't really pulled anything. We're gonna need a loop. So for const, no, not const, let. So columns. So column, I can do I, but column is just kind of like it's more explicit. So if somebody's looking at my code, it means they see that I mean column. So column is going to be less than column count. So it's going to be, come on, column count, or yeah. Well, yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll deal with that later. And column plus plus. What do we want to do? Well, we want to create a table header, and we're going to want to append something to it. We're gonna want to append either no category or eventually a title. So const table header th equals what? Document dot create element, and what is it going to be? Th, table head. Now th dot text content is going to be, because we already have the titles which are going to be coming in later. The titles are going to be coming in later. They're going to be either sports or, you know, right? So it's going to be like something like it's going to be something like, let's make this. So titles is going to be something like sports, history, etc, you know, right? Etc. But for now, we just have a default parameter, default value here, which is just going to be an array of no category, no category, no category. So I'm either going to say, either it's going to be, well, for now, what I want to do, do I want to just immediately do this? Yes, I'm just going to say, well, it's either going to be titles, when we eventually we're going to be passing the titles, and grab the titles at that index. So titles index 0, then titles index 1, titles index 2, and so on and so forth. Or it's going to be category here, category here. Yeah, fine, that works for now. And then we're gonna go to this game head row, which is gonna be this one right here, and we're gonna append a bunch of table headers. So we're gonna run through the loop. So game head row dot append child, and we're gonna append this table head. Now, of course, right, we just have this function, so we actually gonna need to be calling it somewhere. So where are we gonna call it? Well, let's scroll down. We have this event listener on page load. So let's render category headers, and let's see what we got. Nothing, because hold up. Like I said, this is going to be on the fly, so we're gonna be debugging on the fly. Sometimes this server gets a little iffy. I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna go live again. Okay, so all right, we got something. Okay, no category. So we got 5 columns. We actually want 6. Do we want 6? Probably 6 columns. Yeah, we want 6 columns. That's generally okay. So we have that. From there, let's render some cells, because we're gonna need the category titles, and then we're gonna need some cells which are going to be rendering our game data. And then from there we have render game cells. So row count, column count. Okay, that makes sense for us. And so these are going to be the default values. So, well, let's render them in. Let's do let row equals to 0. Row is going to be what? Less than row count. All right. So our first function parameter, and then we're gonna go row plus plus plus, and we're gonna create a table row. We're gonna create a row, and then we're gonna build out each row. So what do we want to do? Well, similar as above, we want to create a table row. So const tr equals to what? Document dot create element, and what is going to be table row, right? Okay, so that makes sense. So a row is created. Now we actually need to create a column for each row, essentially, right? Because we got what? We're gonna have row, and then also going down 5 on each. So think of it like here's a row, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a row, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so let's actually put a comment here. So now create columns for each row. So for let column equals to 0. And let's see, column is less than column count. Do we have this? Yes. So this is going to be, this is the second parameter. This is the second argument. The column count is going to, either we pass it or it's going to get it from here, essentially, right? And then column plus plus. Let's open it up. And from here, we'll say, well, const table data equals document dot create element table data. We want to have, might as well do it now because it's going to be a game cell. So td dot class list dot add, what we're going to call it, we're going to call it game cell. And we might want to have a cell state later to do. So it's either going to be opened, questioned. We want to have some sort of coordinates. We want to have some sort of coordinates because we want to be able to match. We want to be able to match, for example, so if we have this one right here, this is going to be 0, 0, right? Because this is going to be x. We're going to be going x value is 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you want to have some sort of coordinate system. So let's do that. I'm going to, well, let's first, before we do that, let's say, okay, to do coordinates. And then we'll do td.textContent, and let's show those coordinates essentially. So I'm gonna do some string interpolation, and I'm going to say, okay, well, column, and then come on, my formatting, and row. That should get us situated, more or less. And then what? We're gonna append this table data to this table row. Okay, so tr.append child td, and then we'll now append the row to the table body. Then game body dot append child, that whole table row. Something should render. Let's call it when the window loads. Render game cells. Something should render. The keyword is should. It didn't. td text content is not a function. td.text content is not a function, right? Because it's a setter, a getter and setter, I think, technically. Right? TR is not defined. Let's go back here. TR document create element TR. So wait, hold on a second. Why is TR not defined? I need some more coffee. 49, index 98, and 96. All right. Let's take a look. Oh, God. Out of scope. Wrong scope. Because, right, if I put this over here, the TR is within this scope right here. I went out of scope for that for loop, for the outer for loop. All right. Okay, so we have something. And this is what I mean by our coordinate system, right? So like if we think x and y, right? So 0, 0, this is going to be our leftmost cell. And then 1, 0, it's going to be, you know, x is 1, y is 0, because we still haven't, because think of our coordinate system, we're going to go x is increasing here and y is increasing here, because that's kind of like how our screens work, right? It's on our screen 0, 0 is right here, and then whatever your resolution is, you know, it starts increasing down and to the right. So the same thing that we have right here. So 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, and whatnot. So we have, you know, some sort of a coordinate system. Now we also want to track this coordinate system somehow. So I'm going to open up our inspector. So I want to see, we have this class game cell, but I want to also have a special data attribute, which I'm going to add right here. And this is going to be our course to do. And I'm going to call it something like td.dataset. And I'm going to call it chords. And the chords, well, chords are going to be the same thing as what we put in here. So, but sort of different, because I'm going to be splitting them up a little bit. So it's going to be, I'm going to interpolate a string. It's going to be dash x and y. So x and y. So column and row. That should do that. This is our text content. I'm going to be commenting a bunch of things in just so it's a little bit more clear. And okay, so we have this data chords 1, 0, data chords. So we're going to be able to do something with that later, because we're going to need to be matching our data that we get from the API to our DOM. And this is the way we're going to do this, because of course we're not going to have these chords in the text, you know, as a text value. Here we're going to have, you know, either, you know, whatever the game dollar value plus question and answer. So we're going to need to keep these coordinates somehow. So we're going to keep them in a special, this data chords attribute. Okay, so before we end this, let's quickly do some CSS. And you know what, for CSS, we're going to do some co-piloting, because ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want to be fighting CSS. And do we have suggestions? Yes, absolutely. What do I want to do? I want to do body. I'm going to do margin 0. Yep. I'm going to do min height. Yep. I'm going to flex it. Okay. And then I'm going to justify everything at center. Main, we're going to do... you know what? No, I don't want to accept that. I'm going to do width of 100%. Okay. Nope. Width. Come on, you're supposed to be catching my mistakes. And display, we're also going to do flex. We're going to have a flex direction of column. Yeah, okay. Align item center, that's fine. I want to have a gap between the items. 1 rem? No. Let's do with some pixels first. Some padding, a little bit more. All right, and then let's style what? Let's style our table, I think, right? So we need to grab the need to grab the Jeopardy class. I don't know what your border collapse. No, we don't want that. Stop it. All right. Do we want a border collapse? You know, yes, actually. And then we're gonna want a table layout of fixed. And then table header. So let's do our header. We want to have, you know, a green border or something. Align our text to the center. So let's see. Jeopardy, stop it. Jeopardy, TH, border, 2 pixels, solid green, That should do it. Let's see, height of 64. Okay. Width. No, not 20%. Let's do 150 pixel width. We'll do some padding. Come on, you're supposed to fix that for me. Padding. All right. And text align, we're gonna have center and then vertical align to the middle. Yeah, maybe. I suppose. Let's take a look. All right, so it ain't pretty, but it works. And then let's do something for our cells. We want to have maybe some blue cells, and then when we hover over them, maybe they turn into slightly less color of blue, and maybe a blue border. All right, we'll see. We'll play around with that. So that's so Jeopardy table data. No, I don't want that. Jeopardy table data. Let's see, border. Just like with we don't want green, we want blue. And then height of we want them to be squares, so we want them to be 150 pixels. And then width of, okay, good guess, thank you. Text align, we want center. Background color, and it's gonna be a fun one. Let's pick something. Let's pick a 0B. It should have a color picker. Should have popped for me, but let's do something like that. Yeah, that works. That works. I'll do that. I'll go with that. And then color of the text. We're gonna do white or something like that. Maybe we'll just go with the hex value. FFF, come on, correct me. Cursor, we're gonna have a pointer. And then let's do, come on, correct me. Sometimes it's very intrusive and sometimes it just doesn't want to correct you. And then Jeopardy table data hover. Kind of, but that's not what I want. I don't want this because, stop it. I don't want this. I want slightly different shade of blue because right now it just does nothing. It's just gonna do the same thing. So 0 to F, let's come on, pop up something for me. Nope. Okay, that works for me. Let's come back to this. Okay, some border. Like I said, I'm not a designer, but that works. So let's come back to maybe transition this. I want this to be a little smoother. So transition to something like that. Yeah, I'll keep it at the suggested. Yeah, all right. So this is better. Okay, and before we jump out, let's do a start button. So just that we have a start button and a reset button. We're going to style them later, but at least we'll have them. So maybe underneath here, I'll take out this build here, and then I'll say, okay, button ID, start game. The auto completions came back. Maybe I'll call it, stop it, start button. Okay, so that works. And then you should infer that I want the reset button. There you go. And you want this to be the reset button. So this works as well. Start game, reset game. And then in our index, you know what? Actually, maybe let's style them as well. Since we were on styling, we will style the buttons. We'll style the buttons as well, and also do the hovering part. Let's do the start button, or actually let's do both of them at once. Where's the style CSS? Right here. And before Jeopardy, before that, before main, we will do a start button and then reset button. Okay, let's see what your suggestion is. Padding. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to say display, inline, flex. We're going to have some justify content center. Okay. Align item center. Okay, I'm fine with that. Padding, I'm going to change to 10 pixels and 18 pixels just because I want to argue with you. Let's do a border radius of 8 pixels. 8 pixels. Round it up a little more. Color, we're going to have white. Okay. And font weight, because we want to have, you know, a little bit of a heavier font in it. Cursor pointer. That's it for now. Let's take a look at them. Okay, that's something. That's a start. No pun intended. Let's make a start button green and then the reset button orange. So start button. Not what I wanted, but let's do something like pop up something at me is 3. It's gonna be in the greens, 83, something like that. 83. Come on, pop. Yep, that's good. That's good. And then we'll do a border, of course. Border. And we're gonna do a little bit of a 1 pixel solid. What do we want? Some sort of a green. Well, you just did the same thing. That's not helpful. Let's do 2. Let's say, come on, pop up something at me. 2 to AD, 2D, something. Just, yeah, that works. And then reset button. It went for red. I want something orange. Let's make this a little bigger. I'm just gonna put in the orangish hex value, B7, I think 6914. Gonna do something. Okay, that's orangish. And then, so it's not drastic, I'm going to do something like E, 1 pixel solid, E, something like E88, 88, A something 22. Yeah, that works. Whatever. Doesn't matter too much. Oh, I want them to change on hover as well. So start button hover. Yeah, and then reset button hover. Do something different. Fine. I don't want to fight it too much. Yeah, it reacts. Okay, so at least we have something of a plan the board, run the board, add styling. So I think it's a good time to stop for now, and then we'll see what our API is doing.